Hi, this is Raj from MR Sportscars. In this video I'm going to talk through how to clear the side drains at the rear of a 718 model Boxster. In this case this is a lovely Boxster S that we have in stock, and I wanted to talk through the drains which come from the rear hood area down through this section here, and they actually end up with two little funnels which have got rubber ends in them behind here, and if they get clogged up with detritus from this area, then basically the water can back up, sit in that area, and then potentially flow into the car. And we do have examples of that in earlier 981s, and I've done videos explaining that same procedure. In theory this car should be exactly the same, but I wanted to actually run through it with a 718 just so that you can see that it's possible to do on these cars too. So I've got the tools that I need, so like a general mechanics tool set, because you need the Torx. I think it's either a T25 or T27 socket screwdriver end to get all of the screws out of the wheel arch liner that hold this panel. Then you need some trim removal tools. So I've got 3 different, you can get a whole set of them on places like Amazon, eBay, that kind of thing, to take out the plastic trims down the sides. This is a UK car. I'm going to do the driver's side because my previous video showed the passenger side, so it didn't show how I disconnect the switching here, because you also need to take these panels off here to make way to pull this forwards. So I'll be doing that on this car as well, so you can see. In the US, treat it as if it's the other side to make sure that that gets done. But the first thing I'm going to do is remove the screws, remove the plastic trim holders underneath the car, and then work on that, and then pull it forwards, and then I'll show you exactly what I find. Okay, so I've got those screws out. There's 3 in total. As you can see, I've just laid them out there, just where they're positioned. And then under here, you've got these little plastics which you need to twist out. So I'll do that. And they should then just pop out when you twist them 90 degrees. They then come loose. So there's a whole series of them under the car, so I'll get those out, and then it's the next stage. Okay, I've taken all those out. There's 8 in total. Now the next step is to remove this paneling. So first thing you need to do is remove this section here. This actually pulls out upwards, and you can actually leave that connected, but what you need to do is actually pull this rubber out, so that then you can get behind this section, ideally with a trim removal tool, and just gently pry it outwards, and then that will slot outwards. So I'll leave that somewhere, and then under here you'll need a smaller trim removal tool to pull out these. I recommend getting a cloth as well, or some tissue, just to protect the paintwork while you're doing this. There's one. If you actually pull at the panel underneath slightly, just to lift them up, so it gives you enough clearance to then put your tool between the two when it lowers down, and then just sort of work around the edge just to lift it up evenly, and then it'll get to a stage where it should just pop out. So there's 2. I'll leave them with the section there. So just lift the panel that it's holding down slightly, give you some room, then twist around the underside of it, just gently with a plastic trim removal tool. There we go. I'll just explain it a bit better with the camera up close. So basically you need to get between this and this section, but you can't very easily, so what I'm suggesting is you just gently pry this panel just ever so slightly. That then gives you some room between the two for you to then put the tool in between, and then you just gently work it round until it lifts slightly to get enough space all the way around to then just gently tease it out without causing any damage. They're a bit fiddly, and I do know that people do end up breaking these. That one's come out, it hasn't broken. So there's 4 of those. So now this panel here, we should be able to pull this forwards. Now I would actually get a box or something just to rest that back edge on, because I'm not going to remove it completely, I'm just going to literally move it forwards away from the car. Okay, and then you need to be quite forceful with this. Oh, actually I've left a screw. Before I try and pull it, there's a screw up here, which I'd forgotten. It's in the top corner. Okay, so that one's out. So there's 4 in total in this wheel arch. Then, yeah, you should be able to just pull this forward and outward slightly. Just enough actually to see behind here. So I'll just support that. But you'll see there's normally quite a bit of mess behind here. Just in this area here. So this is where the water drains, but there's actually channels behind this. So we need to remove this section here, this air vent, so that you can then get behind and get to the actual area where there's the issue. So this is held in with 2 T10s. So where I'm in here, is this section here. There is 2 10mm nuts that need to come out to move this out of the way. Okay, with those 2 out, then you can pull this section just very gently out of the way. Put that somewhere safe. Right, so these are the 2 issue areas I find with 981s, and people are reporting to me that they also have issues with these in 718s. So you can see that's fully bunged up. So the best thing to do first, I am going to put them back in. But yeah, they're full of rubbish. Particularly that top one, that one's not too bad. But I'll clean those out and put them back in. And I'll also clean all of this area as well. Okay, so I've just cleaned those out with a hose. So they're nice and clean. I can put them back in because the pipes themselves are actually not too bad either. But do just check there's not debris sitting in those as well. Just with your finger or a paintbrush. Make sure they're fully clear, and then reinsert. in my earlier videos, I actually removed these rubber ends, so these sort of like flexible covers, but actually it seems like those covers are there to prevent or reduce the amount of road noise coming into the car. So I actually leave them, just regularly clean these basically and put them back in. That's my advice at the moment. Of course, if you don't mind a little bit extra road noise in your car, then by all means permanently remove them, and it reduces the risk of that occurring again. Okay, so this is ready to go back in now. So it's literally just the reverse of what I did. So first of all, put this vent back in. Make sure it's slotted perfectly at the front and the back, otherwise it will rattle. Okay, so that's in, and then you need to carefully slot this back in exactly where it was without the box underneath. Make sure it's in the right place, and with clean hands, so I'll take my gloves off because you don't want to scratch the paintwork, is gently tap it in. Make sure it's all in the right place. Okay, so the first thing to do is then reinsert these little sections. Then you need to put in the door entry guard. That's in, so slot that in. Then put the rubber seal in, so then the edge of it sits nicely over the edge of that. That's all lovely and clean in there. Then it's the 8 little bungs there. Okay, they're all in, and then it's just a case of putting those 4 screws in. So this is the one that sits in the top. Okay, so that is this side completely done. We have cleared out this side. I mean, there's also a lot of crud that ends up just coming out of that, even if they're not blocked. If you ask a dealer to clear those drains, all they're going to do is blow air from the top, and all of the crud that was in them is just going to sit within this panel here and be sort of collecting and pooling in that area. So it is good to take this panel off, clean those funnels just like I've showed you, and then obviously get all of this stuff away from sitting in the plastic and just under the sill there, which will cause issues in the long term. So yeah, it's just a regular maintenance job I would do sort of every year or so, just to clear that out on both sides. And hopefully then you won't have any issues with water coming into the cabin of your car, and also unnecessary corrosion on those sills. So hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions about that job, please don't hesitate to comment below. Please do like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.